Today, as part of our continued celebration of Women's History Month, we have an incredible opportunity to hear from 3 head coaches who've had a profound influence on women's athletics at Boston University. Together, Sally Starr, Leslie Sheehan, and Nancy Feldman have coached at BU for 100 seasons. Their achievements and accolades are countless, but more importantly, their positive impact on our student athletes, alumni, and university is beyond measurable. Through their efforts, each has contributed to a foundation of success that BU athletics benefits from each day. Simply stated, they're cornerstones of who we are. I'm pleased to introduce Catherine Kennedy, Director of the Howard Thurman Center, and Marissa Mosely, our head women's basketball coach, who will moderate today's discussion.
Hello, everyone. I'm Catherine Kennedy, the proud director of Boston University's Howard Thurman Center for Common Ground. I welcome you to another segment in our conversation series, Give Me the Listening Ear. This Thurman Center series showcases some of the amazing faculty, staff, administrators, and coaches at Boston University. Our intention is to not only highlight their professional accomplishments, but through conversation, give you a glimpse into who they are as people. Our theme today is 100 Years of Boston University's Women Coaches. Thank you, Boston University Athletics, for collaborating with us on this event. We're going to hear from Sally Starr of BU's field hockey, Leslie Sheehan of BU's women's tennis, and Nancy Feldman of BU's varsity women's soccer. Our moderator will be Marissa Mosely, BU women's head basketball coach and a BU alumna of the class of 2004. Along with Coach Moseley's many successes, she was named the 2019 Patriot League Coach of the Year. Coach Moseley was also one of the founding members of the recently formed Patriots League Anti-Racism Commission. In Dr. Howard Thurman's meditation, Give Me the Listening Ear, he says, I seek this day the ear that will not shrink from the word that corrects and admonishes, the word that holds up before me the image of myself that causes me to pause and reconsider, the word that challenges me to deeper consecration and higher resolve, the word that lays bare needs that make my own days uneasy, that sees upon every good decent impulse of my nature, channeling it into paths of healing in the lives of others. Boston University's coaches and student athletes' lives and reputations are achieved and judged based on winning and losing. Our coaches are not only responsible for our student athletes' prowess on the field or court, but also for their development as successful students and human beings. All of these amazing women are talented, historic, award-winning, trailblazing Division I athletic coaches. Boston University, our students, and the greater community are all the beneficiaries of their talent, commitment, longevity, and success. I am now pleased to welcome our moderator for this event, Coach Marissa Mosely.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy, a legend in her own right. And I'm thrilled to be here with our fellow coaches, and I'm looking forward to hearing about your stories, some insights that you guys have had over the time here at BU. Collectively, these 3 dynamic women have 1,217 wins over their combined 100 seasons. That is such an impressive accomplishment unto itself. But sustaining that type of success, I think, is so difficult. And really, we want to hear just how you've done that, especially over the entirety of your career. We're first going to start with Sally Starr. Sally has served as the head coach for BU field hockey, which also is affectionately known as BUFA, for the past 4 decades. During that time, she has amassed 16 regular season titles, 12 conference tournament titles, 14 NCAA tournament appearances. She's been named Coach of the Year in the conference 10 times and 3 times as the Regional Coach of the Year. And just to top it off, she was elected to the National Field Hockey Coaches Association Hall of Fame. Welcome, Sally.
Thank you, Marissa.
Next up, we have Leslie Sheehan. Leslie is in her 36th year as the head coach of the women's tennis program here at BU and is also a fellow alumna. During her tenure, Leslie has amassed 26 conference tournament championships, 17 NCAA tournament appearances. She's been named Coach of the Year 8 times and 3 times as the New England Coach of the Year. And she's a member of both the BU and the UTSA New England Hall of Fame. I mean, light work for Leslie. Finally, we have Nancy Feldman. Nancy is the first and only varsity women's soccer coach at BU over 25 years. You have to be pretty good to be the first and only. During that time, she has amassed 13 regular season titles, 13 conference tournament titles, 14 NCAA tournament appearances, 11 times she's been named the Conference Coach of the Year, and 2 times the Regional Coach of the Year. I really am so excited to be amongst these women because I have a lot to learn. So, without further ado, let's get into the panel discussion. First of all, let's start with the obvious question. Since all 3 of you have combined to serve over 100 seasons at BU, which is an incredible symbol of commitment and success, why have you remained at BU for so long? Let's start with you, Sal.
I think that's a really easy question to answer. Just because of the quality of Boston University and the quality of student athletes that we can attract here, really outstanding young women. And, you know, when you're sitting with parents and you're sitting with families, you can look at them in the eye and say they're going to get a great education. They're going to have an outstanding hockey experience. And then the trifecta to me is the city of Boston. You know, just the experience of growing as a young adult in the city of Boston. You know, you can't lose.
No, for sure. And Les, what's your pitch?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with Sally. You know, I went here, was an undergraduate student, and I was able to get the coaching position 6 months after I graduated. So that was really fun. And I just think that, you know, BU is such a great school, academically, athletically. We're in the middle of this beautiful city. And I do really love the type of student athlete that we get here. And I've really enjoyed the staff, the support we have here. And, you know, my family's in the area, so that makes it the best too. So I think I got the best of all worlds.
Absolutely. Nancy?
Yeah, so I'm the baby of the bunch, aren't I?
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, 25 years, that's still pretty impressive.
For all those reasons. Plus, I grew up 10 miles from here. I'm Boston born and bred, big Boston sports fan, and this is my home. In addition to that, the support that BU administration gives the programs, our program in particular, is a reason I stayed, because it's a place, because of the student athletes that we attract and because of the support, that we can be successful, and we can be we can value the great opportunity the students have to grow and develop as students and as athletes, and and we have an opportunity to win championships.
Absolutely. And I think you talk about, right, the opportunity piece is so big here. And we have an opportunity every time that we get in front of young student athletes to show them, hey, here's something that can actually change your life, you know? Speaking of changes, what are some of the most significant changes that you've seen over your tenure? And we'll start with you, Nance.
Well, I think that when we started the program, and Sally and Leslie probably can speak to this better than I because they were here longer, when they started the program in 1995, I think it was a little bit that they had to start the program. You know, there was, and not that there weren't people in places of decision making that felt it was the right thing to do, but I think there was a push because of gender equity that they had to start the program. And now the change is that they want to support the program, and that's in all ways real. So I think that is a big change, just in the enthusiasm to support women's athletics and to support BU women's soccer. And certainly, you know, I called it a little bit early on, you know, a mom and pop operation early on, which was lovely. And Gary Strickler and Avril Haynes and deserve a lot of credit for growing the program, athletic department program. But I think we have, a well-oiled machine now, and it's corporate in all the right ways, and it's really led by amazing leaders.
That's awesome. And how about you, Les?
Yeah, it's been really interesting seeing all the changes. When I first started here, I was 23. It was really interesting. Football was a big sport here. I think Title IX has helped quite a bit. We had instances where the strength and conditioning program was for the men athletes. The academic program was for the men athletes.
Wow.
So there have been a great support for women's athletics since then. And I agree with what Nancy said, was all the support that we've received with all the athletic directors that have come through that really pushed women in sports and all the opportunities here.
Absolutely. And Sal, how about you? What are some changes
Yeah.
you've seen?
I think, I can tell a story about the first time we went to Vermont, University of Vermont, and we drove in vans. We stayed at one of our athletes' families' houses, and we slept on floors, and the
Wow.
family made pancakes for us in the morning. And then we went and played the game, and then we probably stopped at Burger King or McDonald's on the way home just because it was
We're
cheap.
not sponsored by either of those places.
And then our little vans came back to Boston, and now we're staying. Then it went to hotels with 4 in a room and still vans, and then finally to the buses, and now it's just the opportunity for women and here at Boston University, and that again is why I'm here at Boston University, because of the support that we have from president down to Drew and the administration, and they're doing things right here, and our athletes are treated really, really well here now. But boy, has it changed from my beginning till now. And Title IX has a lot to do with that, but you also need people that care and really want to do the right thing. And I think Boston University wants to do the right thing.
Yeah, I think you make a great point there, right? With the idea of it's one thing to have the laws that are enacted, but you have to actually put them into effect, and you have to have people who really support that. So for you all, as a coach, what does it mean to be a female leader in college athletics? And Les, I'll start with you.
Well, I think it's unbelievable. And I look at BU and I see all the female leaders and all the head coaches that are females, which is great. In tennis, I wish there was more female leaders amongst in the country. I see there's a lot of men that are coaching women. So I look at us, and we've been here for so long, and we've been in that role, and I just think I'm really proud of that. And I hope that more women get involved with coaching and stay in it as long as we have.
Yeah, absolutely. Sal?
Yeah, I just feel I'm so lucky to be in this profession. Still coaching now, no intention to retire, just because I love what I do. And I really think, I'll take our core values of JIPS, joy, intensity, passion, selflessness. If we can embody those things in our practice and our day-to-day, and then those young ladies take that skill set with them into their families, into their professions, they're going to be successful in anything that they do. And I get the opportunity to be with them every day.
Absolutely. Yep. If you do that, you will never be gypped. See what I did there? All right, on over to Nance.
Yeah, along the same lines, I think it's an opportunity to be a role model for young women who are exploring how they're going to make their mark in the world, and I guess to be able to demonstrate a level of strength, but also some vulnerability and some how to achieve what you want to achieve, setting your mind to it, and demonstrating strength while also showing the human side. I only had one female coach in my whole upbringing in sport. And some of the gals I still talk to have never had a female coach. And I think it just provides a different leadership personality or model. I think it's really important that it's not only looked at, in one gender.
No, I think that's a great point. And you all are incredible role models to your, student athletes, to your young women. And, you kind of touched on it there, Nance, like, who were your mentors coming up, and, who were people that kind of shaped you as not just a student athlete, but then kind of as a coach? We'll start.
Yeah. So, my dad was a part-time volunteer coach. He was a pharmacist, but he did it on the side. He was certainly my parents were my first role models, and my dad loved sport, and he certainly instilled that in me. And I had a great high school coach, a female, Carol Bambery, who didn't know a whole lot about soccer, but she was a wonderful person, a great human, and was a leader in high school sports, in growing opportunities for girls. And then, I had a wonderful slew of male coaches, my college coach. And I guess what I've tried to do is take a little bit from everybody and just try to add it to what, I don't think we can be anyone we're not, but to take a little bit from everybody and just try to all the good and just instill it into sort of my personality, my coaching personality.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's one lesson I learned along the way. It's like take the good stuff, but you can also like leave some of that stuff you don't want, you know?
Absolutely. I had a lot of great coaches growing up playing tennis, and they were really passionate about tennis, and I was too. So it was ingrained in me that I just want to continue this, you know. Of course, I had my coach at BU, Barbara Gummery, but you know, I wasn't a coach before I was a coach. I was never an assistant coach. I was never a head coach. So I kind of just was thrown in there and just did the best I could to start. But I had a lot of people along the way that helped me, like Nancy said too, like including my parents as well. So I had a lot of great role models.
That's awesome. Sal?
Yeah, I think I was really fortunate to play at a time that I could play 3 sports at a really, really high level as well. Adele Boyd, Marge Watson, Sue Stahl, you know, field hockey, basketball, lacrosse, and they're all Hall of Fame coaches. They're all, you know, in the National Hall of Fame right now. And, you know, to have that experience was outstanding for me as a young professional starting to become a coach. And I couldn't have had a better mentorship. And I just think that, yeah, picked and choose a few of their qualities, you know, and took a little bit from each. And I still do. I still look back at them, and I still am grateful for the opportunity to play 3 sports and to be coached by 3 outstanding women.
No, for sure. And, you know, oftentimes we do this kind of exercise with our student athletes, right? You write a letter to your younger self, and, you know, what would you tell your younger self? Or you might even do kind of a capsule and then at their freshman year. But if you all could go back and kind of give yourself advice to your, you know, when you were just starting out, something, hey, this is going to help you along the way. What do you think you'd say to your younger self, Sal?
I would definitely say don't be so feisty. You know, I definitely be kinder and gentler to officials. You know,
Still working on that.
And it's still a challenge today, but I just definitely, that's the biggest thing. Just be kinder and gentler to the officials. They're doing the best that they can, and just tone it down a few times.
Okay.
Yeah, this was an interesting one because I think, you know, I knew I wanted to get into coaching when I was playing. So I felt, well, I'm ready. I'm ready to coach. So put me in, and I know everything. And then what you learn is that you really don't know anything.
Yeah.
And, you know, even though we've been in this sport for so long, all of us, we're still learning, you know, and communication is big. I would say, you know, just learn as much as you can when you're younger, talk to other coaches, and communicate well so that you can learn and you can get better.
Absolutely.
I want Sally to stay feisty. I don't know about anybody else.
Absolutely. Don't lose that.
It's give myself grace. So many women leave the profession because I think we beat ourselves up. And the learning and growing, I've always embraced that. But I think I would tell myself, if I could go back in time, it's okay not to be perfect. It's okay to make mistakes, and to just give myself grace, because it really does take, it takes a lot out of you when you feel like you haven't done everything, you know, to the highest level, and you've made errors along the way.
Yeah.
I tell my athletes that I first have, sorry, I didn't really know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And that's sort of like Leslie said, it sort of continues now because we're not perfect, and that's okay. I think it's being okay doing the best that we can.
I think, to your point, right? I think even when you started and now all the way through, right? It's them, your student athletes seeing that too. Like they're learning the lessons to have grace, and they're learning the lessons that we don't have to be perfect and that you can still be successful. And clearly you all are a prime example of that. I mean, you're perfect, obviously, but just the success part. So we are sitting 6 feet apart in a year of COVID where we've had to constantly adapt and pivot. We're going to destroy the phrase an abundance of caution. We're never going to say that again. But how have you all adapted your coaching careers, and your coaching style over the course of your careers? Because, I mean, I think that that's part of the growth, right? You're constantly evolving. And I think there's a phrase, if you don't evolve, you'll evaporate. And clearly you all have not evaporated. You have 100 years combined. So how would you say you've adapted? We'll start with you, Sal.
Boy, this has been a challenging year for sure. And absolutely, what has kept me in coaching this long is the ability to keep learning and wanting to keep learning and growing. And this has been the biggest challenge I've had in 40 years, without a doubt. And I just think, I have to applaud my athletes more than anything else, because their experience is so different right now. My freshman experience is so different right now. My senior experiences are so different. And, I just have to applaud them for their resilience right now. Another word that probably is way overused is unprecedented.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I want some precedented times. You know what I mean? I want some precedented times.
But it truly is. And it just, in the fall, small groups, we couldn't have bigger groups than 5 people. So we had to find drills and, but it gave us the ability to work on our technical skills. And so I have a saying that you make filet mignon out of hamburger. And that is exactly what we're doing right now, trying to get through this COVID period. And I have to applaud my athletes because they truly are making the best out of a really difficult situation.
Yeah, for sure. Les?
Yeah, I mean, the sport of tennis has really evolved since I even, played at Boston University and then started coaching. So, my coaching style has definitely evolved because you have to move along with the sport. The sport has changed so much. But then, coming into COVID, it's like, all right, so I'm not really going to see you much. I'm not going to be able to talk to you much. We're over Zoom. You have to really feel for the players and really have to understand that they're being challenged at this point. And I just tell them just to enjoy and do the very best you can. Yeah, I think that's it.
I think that's great. Dan?
Technology.
Yes.
But besides that, I'll speak before COVID. I think has been over the years more pressure on our young people, both extrinsic and intrinsic. They've put a lot more pressure on themselves. So I've had to be a lot more aware of looking for signs of stress. Where I never really thought about it in my early years. I was pretty single-minded in my focus of teaching the sport, having the team grow and develop and become, the best they could be. And I certainly always cared about the individuals, but I don't think I was as perceptive of what might be behind the curtain. Mm-hmm. And I've definitely had to work at being more perceptive. Because I think that's because of the times and the world that these young people live in.
Yeah. Well, we're in kind of the midst of March Madness, right? That's a basketball, time of great elation and great defeat. But also, you all have incredible championship seasons as well, and that time. And you look back and those are some of the greatest memories, right? Hoisting championship trophies and all of that. But a lot of times we talk about, it's not really the wins and losses that you remember, it's the relationships or it's the moments of growth. And so I'd just love for you to share with us kind of one of your all-time favorite memories throughout your years. We'll start with you, Nan.
No question. It was the 25th anniversary celebration in I feel like I've lost it. I think it was 2019.
Okay. What is time?
Yeah. And 80 plus alums came back to celebrate, a lot of them with their kids. It was really amazing. that they felt that connection to the program, to each other, to me, and they came from all over the country, and it was probably my most satisfying, proudest moment of my career.
That's awesome. How about you, Les?
I think that's why we do a lot of this, is because of the connection we have with the athletes. So I'm really proud of the connection I have with my alumni. I keep in touch with all of them, and I really enjoy not only the time that they spent playing at Boston University, but also, like Nancy said, just enjoying getting to know their families, and they're off married with kids, and I would say that's sort of the main thing that I feel. I mean, I've had great matches that I'm like, wow, this was just, I'll never forget this. And being in the NCAA tournament and our first time making it to the NCAA tournament, but I would say overall, I remember the relationships I have.
Yeah, for sure. Sal?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. Championships, raising the banner, raising the trophy, getting the hats on. I mean, yes, they are all special moments, but one of my favorite times is really alumni games, when all the athletes come back and their kids are running around the field, and and it's from the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s, and I really can't even remember who played with whom.
Right.
And they all connect, because once a Buffa, always a Buffa, so
Yeah.
they have that thread going through them. And I think, but the alumni games, then going up to T's Pub afterwards, and just hanging out and talking and laughing and telling stories. And I have to say, just this past Friday, our 90s, we had a decade, the 90s decade, had a trivia night. So it was 7 o'clock Friday night, and just seeing their faces on Zoom, and they're wearing wigs, they're wearing their old Letterman's jackets, their old sweatshirts, their husbands are getting on, their kids are getting on. And I just think, it doesn't get any better than that. And it just those relationships that you get with the alumni after they graduate, and they all connect with each other. And it doesn't matter if they played together, they all connect together.
No, I agree. And I have to say, on a personal note, it's been so wonderful to be. I was a student athlete here, you all were here, and now as a colleague. I think it's probably more than just that my office is the first door when you walk in the building, so you have to come by and see me. But you all have done such a wonderful job of being role models and connecting with me and supporting me, especially it's my first time as a head coach, because I didn't think I knew everything, but you feel like you're ready, and then you're like, no, I'm not. And I definitely sat there several nights like, what did I do? But to see the example that you all are, and the strong, incredible women, I just really appreciate, having you as colleagues now and as friends. So thank you so much for all that you do for BU. And, once a Buffa, always a Buffa, once a Terrier, always a Terrier. So I want to thank you all so much for joining us today for this conversation. I hope you found it enlightening. I hope you found it informative. To our dynamic panelists, Nancy, Les, and Sal, I really, really appreciate you all spending some time with us and really sharing some personal stories, but also I think some tidbits that any coach could take away, no matter, even if you're not a coach. We're all coaches, right? You sell cars, you're coaching people to buy cars. You teach, you're teaching kids, you're coaching them up. So thank you all again, and we're excited. Again, 100 combined seasons here, 1,217 wins and counting. And I'm over here just trying to pick up their crumbs. So thank you so much, and go BU.